Well, hey YouTube. So, this is Matt back with Cook's Precision Machining. So, it's been about 3 years since I made a video, and there's a lot has happened in the past 3 years. Namely, I moved out of my garage shop. I built a shop, and I added some equipment. So, just gonna do an update, I guess. So here's the shop. It's pretty dirty, cluttered rather. I built this shop probably 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, give or take. Some of the stuff is from my previous videos when I was in the garage, but I've also added a lot of new stuff, and I'm just gonna do a real tour. This is what kind of what a real job shop, kind of tinkering shop. This is what it actually is. Not hiding anything. It's just, this is life. So anyway, so I built this shop. It's a metal steel tube structure. It is, I believe, 35 feet long. It is 26 feet this way and has 10 foot by 10 foot roll-up doors. So at the peak, it's 14 foot. Yeah, so that, we'll get into that. All right, so in this building, it was just the steel building with the concrete slab. I had the slab built, poured rather, through a local company here in upstate South Carolina. They did the work, and I had it graded. I did all the prep work. I did the rebar. I don't have any pictures or footage of that, so that was a while back. But they did all the grading work. So this side of the shop is about, I believe, a 6-inch slab, and just because of the way that the land laid, this side where the machine is ended up being about 7.5. So, and we'll get into some of the newer stuff. So it looks a little cluttered, but trash, all this is just scrap metal. It's going to go into the trash. So I guess we'll start at the beginning. So around over here, I have the same lathe that I had. It is a old Inco 13x42, I believe. Not a whole lot done to it since it was in my garage shop, other than I added some tool holders, and under this pile of mess I have a 5C collet drawbar. So I can turn parts with 5C collets, and the organization is pretty bad, but also have a 3D printer sitting here that doesn't have a home, and a lot of the stuff just kind of hangs out. But anyway, so that's the lathe. Don't really have anywhere home for this yet. So yeah, let me get this out of the way. So way back, I showed off this machine. It is a Hammond 6x18 surface grinder. Hasn't really been a whole lot of use. I did make a few projects on it, namely for fixturing that I required a ground surface, but it kind of just sits. To be honest with you, it doesn't really do a whole lot of work for me. But in the times that I have needed it, it's been really, really useful. So I'm looking to get rid of it, to get something more automatic, probably in the future. So if you would like to purchase it, we can make a deal. So we'll see. I have a drill press. It's an old Orbit drill press. It's really mainly just for countersinks and then real light duty work. Right here I have, this is a, right here I have a Bridgeport clone mill that I got from a local guy, probably just 30 minutes up the road. I bought other machinery from him, and he just hit me up one day and said, "Hey, do you want this machine? I'll sell it to you for $100. I was like, of course, I'll take it for $100. He said it needed some work. I had to rebuild the head from here down to here. Had to come off, put all new internals in it, new spindle bearings. Had to get a new motor because the motor was burned up. It's actually still right there. But I haven't decided if I want to have it rewound and just have a backup or not. I don't know, but it's been a really good machine. It looks dirty, but it's not. It's just kind of got some caked on mess right here, and down there is missing some paint. But other than that, it's been really good. It has a phase pack on the back of it, so it runs off a single phase. It's right there. I got it from H&R Machine a couple years ago. I forget how much I paid for it. It was like $150 maybe. So it runs off 220 and runs pretty good. Every once in a while it has a hang up on the spindle startup, but it's not too bad. But what's awesome is it came with a DRO. So the DRO is worth $500 or $600 just by itself. And on the back, on this little cover, has the screw, well, not the screw, but the shafts where the reed heads attached to. And these are the beefier ones that are usually an extra $100 to $200 more. So that's pretty cool. So I didn't have to pay for that. And it has a servo drive on the X, but it doesn't have one on the Y or the Z, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, moving on. So I got this. This is a Memert. What is this thing called? It is a drying oven or tempering oven, some of that nature. I got it through work. Got it for next to nothing. It's because they were getting rid of stuff, and this was part of the auction. So I believe this thing runs off 110. Just click the button, turns on. I think it goes up to 200 degrees Celsius, I believe. Right now it's that. It's a little cold, so I've got the air conditioners running. So anyway, I got that through work. I've used it for a few little projects, drying parts and doing some kind of like coating, baking on it. It's basically there to be the sister to this guy over here. So this is my little heat treat oven. Also got it through work. It's basically seen zero use, but it was like $25, so I just couldn't say no to it. And also it's sitting on a roll around cart. This is a little project I had. Can't know if you can see, but there is a tapping arm right there. It's a flex arm tap handle. So I haven't really used it basically at all, but it was also like $20, so I just couldn't say no. So moving on, so I still have here my old Bridgeport CNC clone that I got and I rebuilt, built the cabinet for. It haven't really done a whole lot of piddling with it other than just making small parts on it, so that's something I don't have to put on the big mill, which I'll get to in a second. But it's currently gonna be gone within the next month or so. Fingers crossed. So the guy at work wants to buy it, so I'll give it to him. So it does still work. I don't use it a whole lot, but I've made some parts on it just for support. And like on my last project, a part in the lathe broke in this cabinet right here, and was the gear holder for the switch gear. The casting just broke, and so I had to make another one. And I threw it on this thing, and actually came out really, really well. So it holds tolerances pretty dang well, usually within a thou or less. So not bad, but it's still here. Moving on, I got my air compressors. I have these hooked up to my power outlets. So compressor 1 and compressor 2. I'm gonna turn on because they are kind of loud, but I have them daisy chained, so even if I have one of them turned on, both of them will fill up. So that gives me about 120 gallons of air. And the piping that I have that runs all the way around the shop has a drop here, has a drop here, and all the way across to this side is it's the same kind of material that they have in the rigid pipe. It's like a plastic outside, plastic inside, and it has an aluminum sheath that goes on the inside, and it has compression fittings. I got it at Northern a couple years ago. I want to say this was their 200, maybe 150 foot line, and it was, I don't know, 120 something dollars, maybe $150. I can't remember. This is some really good stuff. It's not as expensive as the rigid pipe because this stuff is flexible to an extent. This kind of bend right here is about the maximum you can get, but it's pretty good stuff. It doesn't stay up on its own power, so it has to be strapped to the wall. So I have a strap about every 4 to 5 feet, goes all the way around, and it has a drop. And I have straps on the drops. They can be updated, or not updated, but they can be added onto. They have these little T's right here. The T's, you just splice in as anything, as like any other pipe splice, and it has compression fittings. They're not cheap, but they are made of stainless and they're really high quality. So for what they give, it does a good job. All right, moving on. Here I have my workbench. I believe this is like a 1970 or 80 something model Lista. It's been repainted I don't know how many times through people at work, but it is, I believe it's about 6 foot long, has heavy duty cabinets. I keep a lot of inspection equipment in here. And it right now is just completely slam full of just stuff that I've been working on, little projects. Just trying to get the shop cleaned up to an extent where I can just kind of manage. And all of the stuff you don't use usually just ends up on a horizontal surface like this, and eventually I'll get to it. So it might be thrown away, I don't know. But I got this through work again. I think I paid $120 for this desk, which is a freaking steal, seeing how it is about 2-inch thick solid oak and has a work light, but I don't have a drop for power yet. So my power, that's for the fan. The power runs right here, and I just have to run a little drop cord over to the wall, and then I can have power. Powers a strip and powers everything on the other side, which over here was a makeshift shipping station for when I had parts to ship out. If I post anything on eBay and someone buys it, my plans were to have bags, scale, tape, label printer for shipping labels, and then business cards. And it's kind of just been another catch-all. So eventually this will have a place. Everything will have a place eventually. But up on the wall, I was going to have, wrapping paper, and then the printer was going to sit here and have my laptop or something sit out here with a dock and then have a screen up top. But we just hadn't got there yet, but we'll get there eventually. Got these two. This one's a Lista. I know that. I believe this one is a Lista as well. But this one is basically just like shop stuff. So, got files and just random little doodads. A little bit of electrical stuff that I have to convert back out. This is like shop electrical, so compression fittings and T-nuts and what are these? Solder butt joints and heat shrink, stuff like that. Facility electrical. And then I have some other support stuff for machines, like these are electrical panel breakers and fuses and other stuff like that. And what is that? Contact blocks. This stuff I've taken out of stuff and just keep. Switches, like little electrical switches I've gotten out of stuff that I've actually had to use, believe it or not. So just have a lot of stuff in here. It goes down to lifting fixtures and stuff like that. This box is basically just full of just scrap metal, bolts and stuff. Don't really have a whole lot of use for a lot of it. This one's just kind of a conglomeration of just stuff. Kind of a catch-all. Stuff like this, big bolts and set screws. This is all the stuff that came in this box. I just hadn't got rid of it yet. But it's just random little doodads, stuff that came in the box. And it's just, stuff. These are like some machinist jacks that were in the box, so I'll probably hold on to those. But it just keeps going down and it's just more stuff. This side I have my pink granite plate. I had been working on a project, and so it's kind of got all the stuff laid out for the project. And yeah, the project was for this machine. So this is not new to me anymore, but this is a Monarch VMC 20V. This is their mill tap center. So it's for the most part, it's a pretty rare machine, which doesn't make me feel good about it, but the parts seem to be pretty readily available. I'm not gonna crank it up because it runs on the phase converter. It's kind of loud. And in order to get anything to move, it has to have air, which right now my compressor is showing zero PSI right there. So that takes a while. Those are loud as well. So anyway, so this is my vertical machining center. You can kind of see it. It has two pallets. There's supposed to be a divider. It's just laying right there. So the divider goes through the middle and right here. So this is machining side A. The other side is side B. All right, so I don't know why it keeps cutting out, but I have like a format error on my GoPro. So anyway, so this is side A, that's side B. The table rotates around the axis down here. This is basically a fourth axis. It acts as an A, but it's only positional, so I can't do any fourth axis work on it. But so it is a sliding column machine. So the X is here, Y is here, Z is here, and the table is stationary other than it rotates. This is a BT30 machine. So the tools are pretty lightweight. They're pretty small. But what makes up for it being small, it's really, really, really fast. So this machine, I believe the rapids are around 1,400 inches a minute and X and Y, and like 1,200 in Z. So it can only move, I believe in X, it's about 20 inches. Y is, I believe, 12, and Z is 12. So It's incredibly fast for the rapids. The tool changer is a side mount swing arm, little bitty thing. So the tool change on this machine is also incredibly fast. It has, I believe the brochure says that it is a 0.2 second tool change. So if you're not watching it, you'll just straight up miss it. The chip to chip on this machine, I believe, is about 2 seconds. So it's pretty scary fast. That being said, I have never crashed it, that's good. It's also a 15,000 RPM spindle. It's a direct drive spindle, so it doesn't have any gearbox or anything. It's just the motor is directly hooked up to the spindle. So it has really, really fast ramp ups and ramp downs. It has a flood coolant that comes out the back, and then down the bottom it has these this is like electrical conduit. Over there I replaced it. You can kind of see it right there. So there's like a little lock line flare, and it pipes coolant around the entire machine, around the outside of the machine as a wash down. So as it's machining, it's constantly washing stuff down into this little trough down here, and then the chips go underneath the casting, goes through it, and then they come out right there. So there's the trap, comes out, and then this coolant tray collects all the chips. I just have this little basket that I made to put under there that collects all the big stuff, and it kind of keeps all the chips there, so I can just dump it. Anything smaller that can go through the holes ends up in here, and all this, it just gets scraped out or vacuumed out. And underneath this tray, in this is like a pull-out basket. This is the coolant tank, so this acts as a strainer. It's not amazing, because it does like little bitty flakes of stuff get into the coolant, but it has a divider right here where the pump is, so all the trash stays on this side. This side usually stays really, really clean, but this is the coolant pump for the wash down and for the spindle. So yeah, that's it. Trying to think what else. It is a Fanuc OIMC control. It's I believe about 2002 to 2006, I believe, was when they made this control. It is a color screen, which is pretty cool. You know, if you've used old machinery, the black and green is pretty standard. Trying to think what else. So the control itself, it has some proprietary stuff for this machine. Like it has 2 cycle starts. For the longest time I couldn't figure out what it does, but this is the cycle start for the machine. This start reservation is actually for the loading and unloading door. So while the machine is running on this side, this safety door will go up. It runs on a hydraulic cylinder or pneumatic cylinder, and while that side's running, you can be loading this side, and when that side is done, the door will close. If you haven't already closed it, it'll swap around like that, continue working. Good parts are on this side, and you can be popping and swapping. So the spindle basically has 0 downtime, which is really good for productivity. Other than that, that's the Monarch. I believe it is a rebranded Chevalier machine. They're made in Taiwan. I don't think they make these machines anymore, but parts seem to be pretty readily available. For the most part, I have had to do a X and Y ball screw reball on this machine. So this little cover comes up. You can kind of see all the internals. So there's the ball screw. It runs on linear rails, so it's super smooth. So it doesn't have any kind of like dovetail ways or box ways or anything like that. So it's the way the linear rails make it really, really fast. And it's on X, Y, and Z. So I had to do a reball of the X and the Y. I haven't had to do it to the Z yet. I don't know if I need to yet. So that might be something I have to do. If I have to do it, I'll make a video. Reballing the screws is definitely a huge learning curve. So I guess we'll move on. So over here I have, this is an old cabinet I got. It's just for like scrap metal or metal that needs to be stored just for projects, whatever. So I got a bunch of aluminum, a bunch of steel, and some like catch-all stuff like here, like little grinder accessories, stuff for like my little zip wheels. Down here, because we're in the South, it's pretty humid. It can be pretty humid in here. Right now we're in the fall, so humidity's not too bad, but that's a little dehumidifier for the shop. And then this cabinet and this cabinet are for mill tooling. So this one has, I just kind of labeled stuff out, like specialty stuff, stuff that just hardly ever gets used. So like big chamfer mill, I don't even know if I can use it. Picks, and then like other chamfer stuff. It's like I have some Deltronic pin gauges and countersinks and just random stuff, lollipop mills, keyway cutter, stuff like that. So that's that cabinet. This is just metric drills, standard end mills, metric drills, metric end mills, and like specialty stuff. I have like some like thread mills and stuff like that. Down there I have more ER32 and SK16 collets for the Monarch, and then metric and standard taps, and then some fixtures and like metal stamps and stuff. So this cabinet, actually got both of these cabinets through work. They were both full of tooling. This one gets used the most because it has all the standard stuff in it. This cabinet has all the stuff that both of these cabinets had in one, and this one is just completely slammed full of tooling. I mean, it's just filled to the brim with tooling, and this is all, these are 20 millimeter roughing end mills. So there's some finishing stuff, but I mean, this cabinet was slammed full of stuff when I got it. I had to pay a decent amount for this, but it's probably a good $40,000 to $50,000 worth of tooling. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, stuff that, try to do it with one hand, stuff that I probably can't even use, but like this is all solid carbide. This is, I believe, 20 millimeter diameter here, 150 millimeter flute length, 4 flute solid carbide finishing end mills. So I've got a bunch. They are on eBay. If you want one, hit me up. I'll have a link for my eBay store. They're, for what they are, they're pretty well priced. But I got a bunch of 20 millimeter all the way down to 0.4 millimeter. So, and it's just slam full of tooling. I mean, all of the stuff came in the box, and it's just, it goes on and on and on. So just random drills, and I mean, I have like barrel cutters. I can't even use in this machine, but I have them. And like tiny end mills. This is a 0.4 millimeter Kennametal. This is a 0.4 millimeter end mill. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but it's just like a tiny end mill. I mean, you can barely even see the flutes on the end of it. This is old stock that we used to use at work, but we don't use it anymore. So it came in the box. Let's see if I can keep going. This is all diamond coated. So all of these end mills have like a diamond coating on the flutes where we used to do graphite at work. We don't do it anymore, so they just put it in here and then sold it to me. And all of these little containers, these are all end mills as well. And these are pretty cool little boxes that they come in. So it has this, pull the whole thing out. So the end mills sit in these little trays. Has this little flip out deal that kind of unlocks them. Kind of unlocks the end mills to be taken out. You put them back in, you know, put them back in there, close the thing, and it kind of locks them in like that. And now you can't get them out, so they don't flop around. And they sit in this little slotted tray like this and store them away. These were a 0.38 millimeter wide end mill. And then stuff just keeps going, like little stuff like this. It's kind of just strapped together. They're all the same tool. It's just I don't have a home for them. And all the ones that are just strapped together, they're all just different. I mean, like there's 5. There's 2 of them that are the same thing, and then all this other stuff. And then like all this stuff is like carbon. These are carbon fiber probes, ruby probes. Little probe tips, and then I mean like tiny little stuff. So I haven't decided what I want to do with it. All this is for probing. Remember, the Monarch doesn't even have a probe on it. I have to use a 3D taster or a edge finder, so I can't even use it. But I have it. If I ever get another machine, I might be able to use it. Might just sell it. I don't know. But stuff like this, just random saw blades, some shim stock that came in the stuff, and just a conglomeration of just stuff. Basically everything that's over here is on eBay. Everything else is just kind of just random. So that is that box. Up top, a little bit more storage. Like I said, if it's a horizontal surface, it'll catch something. So these are little chick vices, little dual station chick vices I got off of eBay. It's right now it's missing the middle part, but there's a vice jaw that goes in the middle, and then these 2 jaws open up and close like that. I took this one out just to recreate it in Fusion 360 so I can make some more jaws, because they have to have a profile that fits this, and just want to be able to make a bunch of jaws just to be able to put them up and use them, because these are all considered soft jaws. So, and then the jaws, they pull out, they have this little pocket that's milled in there with a little weird undercut, so I have to be able to recreate that, and then they lock in with these little studs. So that's something I'm working on for production runs, and then keep going on. These are little tool holder blanks that I've made. So I made that. That's the bottom part of the tool holder. I haven't milled the front, but I'm missing a few tool pockets. So eventually these will go in there. These will be the blanks for the tool pockets. I was gonna buy them. I reached out to the manufacturer. They said that they can make them, but they were gonna be about $400 to $500 each. And I'm missing 4. So I decided at least gonna make some, or at least try. So these are made out of I believe it's made out of Delrin. That's what this is. It's just a Delrin stock I got off eBay. Cut it to size, and then I made the back part of it. Haven't made the front part, but I haven't really needed them. Let's see, moving on. These are 2 vices I got from Glassern. These are their 4-inch reverse vices. So because this machine has a low overhang, you know, I'm over 6 feet tall, so my head stops about right here. I'm always having to bend over to get into the machine. So the last thing I want to do is have to reach all the way into the back to load parts. So these vices have a fixed jaw in the front where the screw is. So like over here. So this is the vise for the mill. I have had this vice on this machine, and it's kind of a pain in the butt having to reach in. So the parts are loaded in the back. Those vices, the hard jaw is here, and the movable jaw is in the back, and then the screw is obviously in the front. So when you go to load a part, instead of reaching all the way in the back, you're just reaching to about right here. So, and they're a lot smaller, little 4-inch vices. I have 2 of them. I need probably a few more. This table will hold 3 on this side, 3 on that side. But I got 2 with my job that I finished up last time that paid for these 2 vices. So they will get mounted eventually. Other work holding I have for this machine, probably seen it in another job or another video. I have these little Eroa vices. These are their pneumatic rapid action vices, or chucks rather. And then I have some small, these little, I think I held them down here. Yeah, these little, let me grab this one. These little Zendane, little tiny little 3-inch 5-axis vices, and I made these little steel risers, and has the pull stud for the chucks. But like this one, I could have like soft jaws. This is for a job that I did, and then the other ones, like this one, the jaws on this one were just kind of mangled, but they have these little serrations, so they actually grip the material. These are pretty cool. They're pretty cheap. They're about 40 bucks for the vise. They're not precision at all, but for the money, they do pretty good. So I also have that. It's not super robust for milling, but for light duty work, it works pretty good. Bandsaw. My dad gave me this bandsaw. He just kind of outgrew it, so he gave it to me. It's an old 1940 something Marvel bandsaw. It's not the greatest, but I have had a lot of material run through this machine. Cuts almost perfectly straight. It's a little loud, but I have a bandsaw. Moving on. So over here, this is a Fowler Tremos tool setter. So the tools will go in here. Let me get this out of the way. Little chip fan. The tools will go in here. This was actually a Cat 50. If I pull it out, it's actually a Cat 50, and so I had to buy this little Cat 50 to BT30 adapter, and then the BT30s go in here, and this gives you your gauge length plus whatever the tool is, and then it'll touch off on your Z and your X, so you can find the diameter of your tools, and that whatever comes up here, I can plug directly into the machine and do the offsets offline, and that makes setup super fast. So this is pretty cool. Let's see what else. So up here I have a cabinet, and it's just full of like documentation. So machine manuals, well, controller manuals, and this is the machine manual, and some just like little stuff from Harvey Tool and whatnot. Spindle force gauge I got from Haas. And then this is like this is the grease that goes to this machine. It's a really high-end grease. It's a XHP222. So this is a lithium soap-based grease for the rails of this machine, and I had to special order that. So, and then over here I have more Eroa stuff, and then a random little tool holder that I got from work for a machine they don't have anymore. And that's just, one day I'll have an HSK 63, and I will need a huge Walter face mill, so decided to keep it. If not, I'll just, maybe I'll sell it one day, I don't know. Down here I have my Hewitt tool scoot. These little inserts on this thing, I had to remake these for BT30. These are just 3D printed. Alright, so I'll try to make this quick. My battery's about to die. But anyway, so this is the shop. Everything over here is like support stuff, arbor press, and then spray guns and random stuff I haven't. None of this has a home. So at the very beginning of the video, this thing kind of like did its weird little pop thing. This is just an industrial drum that I got from a guy on Marketplace, and just be able to store any kind of fluids in here, oils or whatever. But it has like a little bit of like a diesel gasoline mix in it, so it decides to expand and contract. So that's what that was about. Over here I have my little buffer wheel or buffer grinder I got from work, or not, I got from a neighbor actually. So this is a 3-phase buffer grinder, and I had to use it on a previous job where I had to buff, I think it was like 3,000 or 4,000 pieces. So this thing has seen a ton of use. In order to use this thing in here, which I have single phase, I built this little box that has a VFD in it, very small, like 1/2 horsepower VFD, and it will, you can be hooked up to the wall with these twist lock deals, and has like a foot mounted controller where I can just turn on and turn off the grinder with my feet. So that's pretty cool. But other than that, everything else in here is just kind of just stuff. Haven't really done a whole lot with it. This is a hardness tester. Also got it from work. I've never used it before for anything practical, but so a phase 2 hardness tester. It only does I believe it's a B scale. We did use these at work. This is the other one. This was a backup, but I ended up getting it for probably 50 bucks, I think, a couple years ago. But that was it. So anyway, this is my shop. This is about as real as it gets. I haven't really done almost any cleanup for this video, so this is usually how real life is. So eventually we will get into full production, and hopefully this will end up being a full-time gig. That's the plan for the future, at least. And hope y'all have a great day.